Unable to stand what they had done, Omoye and Ogogo returned home, packed a few of their belongings, and then ran to another nearby town, which was also not far from the city. Their parents had gone to seek for a solution together from a dibia regarding their son's sudden weird behavior, and so were not in the house when Omoye and Ogogo had returned home and packed their belongings. However, while Ogogo and Omoye thought that they were secretly escaping, Nosa and Uyi, who were sleeping at the time their sisters returned to their separate houses to pack a few of their belongings, woke up at about the same time and could smell their sister's presence due to the power of the charm. Drawn by the power of the charm and the smell from it, Nosa and Uyi trailed their sisters from behind and followed them to the town they ran to. Before I proceed to the full story, I want you to know that you may have seen and listened to the first part of this story, but it was necessary for me to retell it and put it in full instead of parts as it was originally planned, as I realized that some people could not wait to see the ending of the story and so thought that the story may be promoting incense. So, here is the story put in full and no longer in bits for you to enjoy and for the sake of clarity. Please watch till the end. Thank you. Once upon a time, there lived two families, which are the Imafidon family and the Iwinosa family. The Imafidon family consists of Mr. and Mrs. Imafidon, Nosa, their fourth child and eldest son, Omoye, the second child and only daughter, and Osaon, the second son and last child. The Iwinosa family consists of Mr. and Mrs. Iwinosa, Uyi, their fourth child and only son, and Ogogo, the second child, only daughter, and also the last child. The Imafidon family and the Iwinosa family lived not so far from each other and have also been very good friends for years. The children of both families played and grew up together. Nosa and Uyi are both first children and sons of their individual families and are also of the same age. Omoye and Ogogo also are both first daughters and the second children in their respective families. They are also both of the same age. And so, with these similarities, Nosa and Uyi became close friends, and so also was Omoye and Ogogo. But Omoye and Ogogo were not just close, they became best friends, and the bond between them grew strong. They did things together and shared secrets. Now, as they grew older, Omoye started to develop romantic feelings for Uyi, Ogogo's older brother, and was attracted to him. However, this was one thing she could not tell her friend Ogogo about, as she feared that Ogogo might react negatively about it. And so, subconsciously, Omoye began to act different than the usual whenever she was around Uyi. Whenever Omoye visits the Winosa's house, she would sit closer to Uyi instead of sitting with Ogogo, who is her friend, and would laugh at everything Uyi says, even if what he had said is not something to laugh about. And if it was Uyi who visits the Imafidon house because he wanted to spend some time with Nosa, just the way Nosa also does, Omoye would stick around her brother and Uyi, so she could steal glances at Uyi from time to time till he leaves. One day, Ogogo, who had now noticed that Omoye likes her brother, confronted Omoye about it. Omoye, do you like Uyi? Ogogo asked. What do you mean if I like him? He's your brother now, and our families have been very good friends for long, so I can't hate him, Omoye said, trying to give Ogogo a diplomatic response. You know that is not what I am talking about, so don't try to pretend to me, Ogogo said. Are you attracted to my brother in a romantic way? Ogogo asked again. Omoye knew that Ogogo knew her so well Besides, she wasn't a good liar, at least not around Ogogo. And so, instead of replying and admitting that she was indeed attracted to her friend's brother, Omoye shyly covered her face with her palms, which confirmed Ogogo's suspicion. Well, it is okay. You do not have to be embarrassed about it. I understand you, Ogogo told Omoye. Omoye raised her head, relieved that her friend Ogogo had not reacted negatively like she had thought that Ogogo would. Well, I like Nosa too, and I think I may have fallen in love with him, Ogogo declared. Well, it was not just Omoye who is attracted to her older brother's friend and her friend's older brother Uyi. Ogogo also was attracted to Omoye's older brother Nosa. But Ogogo, being a cunny girl and a little cunningly smarter than Omoye, was able to hide how she felt and also control herself and the way she acts around Nosa, unlike Omoye. Omoye was shocked to learn that Ogogo was also attracted to her own brother. It made her feel better anyway, and she was also relieved to know that at least she was not the only one in such awkward situation. With this, both girls looked at each other and started laughing at themselves. When they were done laughing, they decided to help each other get their brothers for the other. They planned that Ogogo would walk and do things to make Uyi like and recognize Omoye's affection for him and bring them closer. And in the same vein, Omoye would do likewise to bring Ogogo and Nosa, her elder brother, closer and together. We will go from being just friends to become sister-in-laws, they said happily. And so, with this their resolve, Omoye and Ogogo started engaging in different schemes to make their respective brothers like and fall for the one who wants them. One of such schemes was tricking either of their brothers to remain in a room alone with one of the girls, which of course is the one who is not their sister, and then pretend to have mistakenly locked the room and misplaced the key until night time. But despite all their antics and schemes, neither Nosa nor Uyi fell for it. Now, Nosa, having observed what was happening for some time, got to know and understand what his sister and her friend Ogogo were trying to do. He told Uyi about his observation, and together they confronted Omoye and Ogogo about it. The two girls opened up before their brothers about how they feel about them. Nosa told Ogogo that he has always seen and considered her as his younger sister because she is Uyi's younger sister and a friend of his own younger sister too, and does not in any way feel anything romantic towards Ogogo. Uyi also told Omoye the same thing. The young men asked their younger sisters to get rid of their attraction for them and open their hearts to other men who would love them the way they want, because to them, they would only see and would always love them only as an older brother would love his younger sister. Well, that did not go well with Omoye and Ogogo, as they were both already so obsessed with their individual love interests and do not see or consider them as their big brothers. And so, Omoye kept trying to win Uyi's love and Ogogo to win Nosa's love. After a while, when Omoye and Ogogo would not stop, Uyi and Nosa reported the issue to their respective parents. Mr. and Mrs. Imafidon spoke to Omoye. They told her that they recognize her feelings and do not condemn her for developing a romantic attraction towards Uyi because they are, after all, not related biologically. But that, however, that she is wrong to continue forcing Uyi to love her since he does not feel the same way about her. And so, they advise her to desist from all her schemes and antics and open her heart to love someone else. Mr. and Mrs. Iwinosa also spoke to their own daughter Ogogo and advised her likewise. But Omoye and Ogogo would not listen to their parents because of their love, which had now grown into an obsession. Let's make them accept and love us the way we love them, Ogogo said to Omoye one afternoon. How? We have tried everything to no avail. Our parents are also not in support of it. So I guess there is nothing more we can do, Omoye told Ogogo. There is one more thing we can try, Ogogo replied. Ogogo told Omoye about a certain juju woman in the next village known to possess strong and potent magics that can grant and help people achieve their heart's desires. Omoye knows of the juju woman Ogogo speaks of because she had also heard about her. So, Ogogo told Omoye that they should go to the juju woman for help. But Omoye was not comfortable going to a juju woman for help, and so told Ogogo that it was not a good idea. However, after some days, Ogogo was able to convince Omoye, and together one morning, they traveled to the next village to see the juju woman, since the distance between the next village and theirs was short. Omoye and Ogogo told the juju woman why they had come to see her. The juju woman asked them what their names were and the names of the person they love. Omoye told the juju woman her name and that she loves Uyi. Ogogo also said her name and said that she loves Nusa. After that, the juju woman made some incantations and then handed a separate bottle each containing a liquid substance to Omoye and Ogogo. She told Omoye and Ogogo that their soul with the one they love has been bound in the substance and that they should add the substance to the meal of their love interests, and assured them that their respective love interests would love them in return and even more than they imagined. But she warned that they must not mix up the portion because the portions are made specifically for one person and her own love interests, and that if they give the wrong substance to the wrong person, that person and her love interests would suffer a repercussion for the rest of their life. Ogogo and Omoye promised to be careful. They thanked the juju woman and returned home with the love potion. Now, because Uyi now avoids Omoye and Nusa also avoids Ogogo, it was difficult for Omoye and Ogogo to add their individual own juju substance to their love interest meal. They had both tried the first time but did not succeed, as Uyi would not accept the meal Omoye offered him, and Nusa too did not accept the meal Ogogo offered him. Uyi and Nusa did so in order to avoid leading the girls on. After their first trial, which they were not successful at, their juju substance was now remaining only a little quantity. So they decided to use the remaining quantity wisely. And so Ogogo and Omoye planned that they would help each other. I would help you give my brother the food after you must have had your own substance in his meal, and you would also help me do the same with your brother, Ogogo said as a solution to their hurdle. And with this plan, the two girls took the meals they had prepared earlier that afternoon to give to their brothers. When Omoye took the food from Ogogo to give to Nusa, Nusa, her own brother, had already gone out. So she instructed her younger brother Osaon to keep the food safely for Nusa and let him know that it was his lunch when he returns. She warned Osaon seriously not to eat the food. Meanwhile, Nusa had actually gone to Uyi's house to meet him so that they could go visit a friend together. They had planned to do so that day, but Uyi was taking long, so Nusa decided to go meet Uyi. In the same vein, Uyi also left the house so he could meet up with Nusa as he was running late for their appointment. And somehow, they missed each other on their way. Uyi got to Nusa's house and met his absence. He was about to leave when he saw Osaon about to eat a food. I am hungry, oh. I didn't have lunch because I was in a hurry to meet up with Nusa. Please, where is your mother? so that I can ask her for some food too, Uyi asked Osaon. Don't worry, brother Uyi. You can have this one. I will dish some soup and have fufu swallow instead, Osaon said, offering the food he had wanted to eat to Uyi. And Uyi ate the food. Now, this food was the food which Omoye had asked Osaon to keep for Nusa. The food with the love portion that was supposed to bind Nusa and Ogogo together. Osaon did not listen to his sister's warning and was going to eat the food out of longer throats before Uyi saw him and had requested for some food. Meanwhile, Nusa also got to Uyi's house and met Uyi's absence. He saw Uyi's mother, who told him that Uyi had gone to look for him in his own house. "Oh, we must have missed each other on our way then," Nusa said. In order for them not to miss each other again, Nusa decided to wait for Uyi because he knows Uyi would return immediately to the house when he realizes that they had missed each other. Nusa waited for Uyi in Uyi's room. Whilst he waited, he saw the plate of food which Ogogo had carefully covered and kept for Uyi. Nusa was also hungry, and because of how close they were and the relationship that existed between their families, Nusa uncovered the food and ate it. Besides, it wasn't the first time they would eat at each other's houses, and so Nusa saw nothing wrong in eating his friend's food. Just as Uyi had eaten the food with the love portion from Ogogo meant for Nusa, Nusa also ate the food with the love portion from Omoye meant for Uyi. This means that each brother ate the food which their own biological sister had prepared and had added the love portion instead of eating the one for the other. Later that day, immediately Nusa set his eyes on his own sister Omoye. He fell in love with her. He started professing love for her and begged his parents to join him and his sister together in marriage. He was also restless and would always try to force a kiss on Omoye's lips at intervals, but was stopped by his father and younger brother Osaon. Whilst all that happened in the Imafidon's house, the same thing was also happening with Uyi and Ogogo. Uyi was also professing love for Ogogo, his own biological sister. The Imafidon and the Iwinosa family were confused about the situation. They wondered what could be making their sons profess romantic love to their own biological sisters. Omoye and Ogogo were also confused. They wondered what could have gone wrong with the charm. So early the next morning, they secretly sneaked out of their houses to the juju woman's place to find out the reason for the turn of events with their brothers. The juju woman, using her mystical power, revealed to them the reason and the mistake they had done. She reminded them that she had warned them to be very careful, but they were careless. Omoye and Ogogo begged for a remedy, but the juju woman told them that there was none and that things would still get worse than the way it is. Unable to stand what they had done, Omoye and Ogogo returned home, packed a few of their belongings, and then ran to another nearby town, which was also not far from the city. Their parents had gone to seek for a solution together from a dibia regarding their son's sudden weird behavior, and so were not in the house when Omoye and Ogogo had returned home and packed their belongings. However, while Ogogo and Omoye thought that they were secretly escaping, Nusa and Uyi, who were sleeping at the time their sisters returned to their separate houses to pack a few of their belongings, woke up at about the same time and could smell their sister's presence due to the power of the charm. Drawn by the power of the charm and the smell from it, Nusa and Uyi trailed their sisters from behind and followed them to the town they ran to. Omoye and Ogogo were shocked when they saw their brothers with them in the town they had run to. While still aggressively professing their love to their sisters, Nusa and Uyi forcefully dragged their sisters to a customary court they had seen on their way to the town and the two young men married their own biological sisters right there. Nosa cried and threatened Omoye at the same time that if she protested before the customary court officials and refused to marry him, he was going to kill her and kill himself also. Uyi also did the same thing. He cried and threatened Ogogo to marry him. They paid some few hoodlums who pretended to be their family and friends at the courts. And so, Nosa and Uyi, who are acting under the influence of the charm, married their biological sisters, who could not say nor do anything to stop them because of the threats, and also because they knew they had brought what was happening upon themselves. Nosa and Uyi took their sisters stroke wives to an abandoned building and started living there. During the day, the two men would just sit and would keep chanting, "I love you, Omoye, I love you, Ogogo," all day, each one to his own sister. But surprisingly, at night, their love would become hatred, and each one would beat up his sister, saying, "I hate you, Omoye, I hate you, Ogogo." Every time Omoye and Ogogo tries to run away, their brothers would find them and forcefully carry them back to the abandoned house. And so, Omoye and Ogogo lived in torments and regrets for their action. This went on for 2 months until one day their parents, who had been searching for them since they left their village, finally found them. Mr. and Mrs. Imafidon and Mr. and Mrs. Iwinosa returned to their children the next day with a pastor whom they had met for help and for a solution. The pastor prayed, and to the glory of God, his prayers were answered, and the effects of the love charm on Nosa and Uyi was neutralized. Through divine revelation, the pastor asked Omoye and Ogogo to confess to what they had done. Ogogo and Omoye confessed and begged for forgiveness from their brothers and their family, as they realized that their obsession was unhealthy and that it was what had led them there. Their parents were disappointed at them. However, they were able to forgive them immediately, being that they were parents. But Nosa and Uyi found it difficult to forgive their sisters. But with pleas and nudgings from their parents and the pastor, they finally released forgiveness to their sisters. Some customary rites were performed to dissolve the marriage bonds between the siblings. The rites performed were easier as the siblings did not get involved in any sexual activity, which everyone was grateful to God for. However, though Nosa and Uyi released forgiveness to their sisters, the brotherly sisterly love that existed between each sibling was marred because of Omoye and Ogogo's foolish acts. Nosa and Uyi left home and settled in another town and barely visited their family from that time, so they would avoid seeing the faces of their sisters for as long as they could. The moral lesson to be learned from this story is that we should be careful with our obsessions, as obsessions, which are most of the time always unhealthy, can lead to the destruction of many things. We see that Omoye and Ogogo's obsession and not listening to their parents almost led to the sin of incest. It also led to the ruin of a beautiful sibling relationship, which is a priceless thing. I hope you enjoyed the story and have learned a thing or two from it. I would love to know. Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching and see you in our next video. Bye.